Hiya, welcome back to my garage. This is a final video of fitting the rear subframe, or IRS, whatever you want to call it, onto my Jaguar XJS 1994 6-litre V12. Yeah, bit of a messed up video this one, because halfway through the sort of days of filming this manoeuvre, my phone had a meltdown and I had to reset it. Now, some of the videos that I'd already done were backed up on my Google account and others were just gone. So yeah, this video is going to start in the kind of right place in the next bit. When I do the edit, I'll suddenly, yeah, you'll figure it out. But then it gets to the point where I'm attaching the radius arms at the back onto the subframe, and that's all I've got. So at the end of the video, once I get to that bit, I will just cut to me blabbering on again like this, and I'll show you around all the other little bits that I fitted. The kind of general idea of, I mean, I've already done all the videos of putting this together. It's literally just lifting it and attaching the paraphernalia. So a bit of a shame that I didn't save all those videos, but pretty sure I can show you everything that's been done anyway, just like this. So yeah, let's skip to the first video that I didn't lose, and I'll see you at the other end. Right, so I've cleared the space completely under here. I've just tucked the handbrake cable up over the prop shaft, and you can poke that sensor up into the boot. Obviously I can pull out the amount of cable I need later. Mine actually had a protective, bit like this sort of design, protective cover on it, but for the amount of miles that I'm doing, all that actually does really is gather dirt and crap. So I've taken it off. So that means I can just slide that in and out of the hole. So now it's just a case of manhandling this. Actually, I pulled front round. Surprisingly movable, actually, if it's on a trolley, despite weighing the best part of, I think it's 350 kilograms. I don't know what that is imperial, but yeah, you can pretty much just shunt it along. He says with one hand. I can't do it with one hand. I need to get both hands on the shock absorbers and my ass on the ground and shunt it through. All right, here goes. Come on. Just done a bit of a bump on the carpet there. I've ruffled up by moving it in and out a few times. I have tied up the, well, fucking hell. No, it's not working at all. I'm still out of breath. So that's how she looks when it's pushed under. I definitely got it the right way around. I know that would be hilarious. Yes, obviously the radius arms are to the front. I joke, but it's the kind of dumbass thing I do on a Saturday morning. Did spend about 2 hours yesterday trying to hammer some caliper pins out the wrong way. I'm exaggerating, it was about 2 minutes, but still. Yeah, so actually we'll let those radius arms down now. No need for them to be strung up out of the way. You can see why I had them tied up, because I didn't want them, whoops, bashing off the axle stands. I'll fish that out later when I'm not filming. I'll drop the other one down, and then it's a simple case of winding that up with a, well, it came with a silly little tool, but I just put a socket on it. And then just lining up these four things so they slot up to these, bang the bolts through, and then it's secure, and then it's just a case of washers and nuts on the back. Got the same, got my bolts ready, same as the originals. They're not Jaguar ones, because that would be ridiculously expensive. Just go to the hardware store, they're about 50p each. So could have cleaned up the originals, but for the sake of, what, a couple of quid. Got nice new ones. What are they? Are they 3/8? Where's my 3/8 nuts? Yeah, so we've got plenty of, I'm liking this, by the way. I've just bought some more drawers. Liking that. Yeah, so we're gonna need a load of those, but I'll do that later. I'll literally get the bolts through first, and then it can just sit there on the lift. We need a, what is this for this lift? 22mm and a big ratchet. Oh, and then it's just a case of slowly ratcheting it up, trying to keep it balanced, It will wobble about a bit. That's the lift, to be honest. It was 40 quid. You get what you pay for, but it does the job. And once it's lined up, it'll just shunt into place. I'll get a couple of bolts through. Hopefully that'll stay put. Let's see how we get on. Obviously, if you had a mate to come and help you with this, it would be even easier. We're completely unbalanced. Or sometimes once I get it going a bit, it sorts itself out a bit. Get it just so it's about to slot in, and then we'll go around and check everything. I can always take a couple of goes at this. Okay, I've just, where's my hands, shunted it that way a little bit. We're looking 99% on the other side as well, so we'll go up a bit further. Right, 99% there. So I've got both sides, I've got the back lined up and the bolts put through loose. So I'm just, because my lift is just tilting the subframe forward just slightly. To be honest, in hindsight, I probably should have, excuse me, I probably should have put a spirit level on it before I started messing about, and just made sure it was totally flat, because then I wouldn't have had this problem. But it's no worries, I shall just get my trolley jack under the middle and just gently lever it up so that those line up, and then it's all done. A bit of a skip forward as usual, because there was way too much swearing involved. But with a bit of jiggery pokery, lifting and then poking, oh, it's on the other side, big screwdriver through and just levering and doing a little bit of trolley jacking on the hub. We now have both sides in. So I'm going to, what have I done with those? I'm now going to just secure them in, because they're just pushed through at the minute with a nut and a washer on both sides. Okay, they were the wrong washers. Way too small. Got the proper ones here. So it's just a simple case of, I mean, you'll find, because I've still got it on the lift, this one, these ones will still slot through. The top ones are taking the weight at the moment, but they just slot through, and then up the back there, you can just see it's sticking out. Actually, I could turn the torch on, couldn't I? There, torch on, and then you can clearly see the thread, both threads actually. Oh, I just can't quite get in there. So it's just a simple case of a, oops, washer on the back of there and a nut. I'm not going to film that. That's both sides done. So now it's time, for the first time in many months, for the subframe to actually be on the car. I'll just check those axle stands are in place. That would be bad. That's it. Should be able to turn that by hand. It's obviously my anti-scratch device is staying in place just for now. Let's just get that out of the way. And then this should just pop off. And we should have lovely shiny powder coating still. Like I said, I made some little holes for the respective nuts to fit in. And that seems to work very well. I had a few dings and dents in it already before the powder coater. So that's worked very well. I'm happy with that. Get my lift out the way. Yeah, so for those of you that this is the first video of mine who watched, that's a 40 quid lift off eBay, 500 kilogram. That's a 20 quid tray from Lidl or Aldi, one of those budget supermarkets. And there's some bits of wood just to raise it up to almost right, because otherwise you'd have to kind of extend the lift further than you want. And then, yeah, I just hit my head. Oh, I just hit my head on that. Oh, that's bad. Don't do that. Yeah, that's sits on the top and just stops your under plate getting bent. Yes, Next job, well, actually, I might put the wheels on, drop it, once I've done everything else, I might drop it down, put the wheels on, so that I can torque up these nuts. They're just nipped on at the moment. And apparently they call for something ridiculous, like 300 Newton meters. So that's going to be fun. Next job is to get the radius arms attached, because it would be very floppy without them. So, obviously, while the car is not loaded, these aren't going to line up. So you do need to get yourself a trolley jack, slap it under the hub, and just crank that up just to take the strain out of the shocks. I'm just watching for just as this starts to wobble. I don't actually want to lift the car up, but there we go. Just come loose there. So now I can grab this. That'll line up nicely with that. Usually just takes a bit of a thump, which I can't do with one hand. No. So yeah, sorry I couldn't do that with one hand, but you just need to get it lined up, holding it with the other hand, and then with the back of your hand just work that on loosely onto that bush holding thing that's attached to the car. You're then going to want this piece like so. The mounting hole for this end of it is just here, just under the axle stand. Very helpful for me, but that's fine. I should, oh, I don't know actually. No, I'm not going to be able to get on there. I'm going to have to move my axle stand out of the way. Right, I've just moved my axle stand back by, as you can see, just by about 1 centimetre. Still plenty on there. And now I can see that hole that I was looking for before. So yeah, this bit in there, that bit lined up with that hole, and you bolt with your holes ready for the lock wire. Zoom, focus. Wow, I can look right through that. Yeah, so I'll get all that on and then show you what it looks like. Right, so I've just got that threaded on loose. Now just gonna, oops, I'm just gonna smash my powder coat. Here's what I'm gonna do if I do that. Just gonna use the thread to pull everything tight, and then we'll get the other bolt on and then tighten up to the correct torque, which for this bolt that I'm tightening up now is something, I can't remember now. I've got it already set up on the torque wrench from before. It's like 80 to 90 Newton meters or something. It was something in foot pounds and I converted it, which I didn't need to do actually, because I've just found out that my shiny new torque wrench has foot pounds on it. But it's set up now in Newton meters anyway, so we should see now that whoops, the top side of this brace, the cup's now sat up inside the bush, which is where it should be. There we go, we're lined up with that. So I'm just going to get that other bolt now in before I get this, will you zoom out? Before I get this one too tight, and this won't move, so I'll just get that one threaded in. That was it, I remember now. It was somewhere between 80 and 95, so I've gone for 90 on my shiny new Teng Tools torque wrench, because my old one only went up to 100. On this car is just not enough. I don't think I can do this properly one-handed, but I'm going to get that torqued up. That's the noise we're looking for. Right. Whew. Those bolts have to be lock wired. I'll do that later. I think I have to feed some lock wire down in here and just twist it to that. I can't remember, I'll have to look back at the old photos. Tighten that one up. So that's that done. But now I need to get under the car and do the, I haven't got the torch on. Anyway, I'll go under the car to do it, but do the rear mountings. And for that, we need a 3/4 spanner. Oops, onto this funky shaped bolt. And then we need to turn it the right way, which I can't do this one-handed. So I'm going to nip that up to the correct torque, and then we're going to bend the tab washer around. Right, so that's where my phone video storage ends. I'm now back to where I was at the beginning of this video. So I will now show you those tab washers bent up, how that should all look once it's all fitted, and then we'll just look at how to connect the brakes back up, the ABS sensors, which is another story, and the rear, the speed sensor that goes in the back of the diff. Right, so first, here is, there's the tab washer bent up. So obviously you torque up that nut, that's not a nut, that's a bolt. Torque up that bolt and then bend the tab washer so that it can't undo. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Let's do the ABS sensors next, because I can see here, I did a nice bit of video about these. So the ABS sensors run along the radius arm. They come out of, where do they come out of? Oh, they come out of the car behind the back seats, and then, oh, you can just see it there, coming out of that sort of insulated sort of grommet thing. Come down here, they route along the radius arms, up the side of the hub, not the hub, the, you know what I mean, the thing that has the hub in it, I can't remember the word, and then pop in the top with a little securing screw, bolt thing. Yeah, I'm not on it this Sunday morning, am I? I'm just totally rambling. Anyway, I lost the fittings. Well, they'd long perished, the fittings that clip into here and hold the cable in place. So I went and got, if I can just climb out from under the car. Let me go over here to my drawer labelled glue and ties. I think I've still got a couple of spares. Yeah, I found these. They're like cable ties, but with a sort of button end. And I figured out they were just small enough to go up. Yeah, go up the inside of the hole, over the ABS sensor if I maneuvered these little fitments, and then back down, and then you can just pull it tight into a nice tidy thing. So that worked very well. I did say in the previous little video take anyway that I just did that there was another story to my ABS sensors. I think I've already mentioned before that when I had to press them out the hubs, I did dent them somewhat, and I did think that might be an issue. And guess what it is? I have no ABS. So I've run the diagnostics, which I might do a video on actually. You have to go in the boot and pull out a little, I can't remember if it's 6 or 3 pin cable, and you have to jump. What have I got on my hand? Just random. Oh, it's brake dust. I just cleaned that while I was talking. That's what it is. Yeah, you have to jump the pink and brown wire, I think it is, over to the black, and then you go in the car, turn the ignition, it does a little warm up, and then it will flash at you, say 3 and then 2 times on the ABS light, and that tells you code 32, for example, which is whatever. On mine, it flashed the code to say, as I was expecting, rear passenger side ABS sensor out of working parameters or something, probably because I've buggered up the gap. And I bet, to be honest, even if I've replaced the passenger side, then probably run the diagnostics again, it'll probably show me that the driver's side is out of whack as well. So yeah, that's really bad news, because you just can't get the ABS sensors for these later cars. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I have found someone who may be supplying replacement new ones. I don't want to talk about that yet, because they have told me they're not officially on sale yet. So anyway, but it looks like I may be able to get new rear sensors for about 200 quid for the pair. So that is a massive saving on, well, you just can't get them anymore, and even if you could, they'd be like 350 quid each. So clearly £200 is looking good. Anyway, if that happens, I'll do a video on changing the ABS sensors on the rear, which means taking the back seat out and all sorts of crap, but it's not too difficult. And then hopefully that will fix my ABS problem. Anyway, next thing, after I've connected my ABS sensors, which are completely useless because they don't work. So by the way, yeah, that just routes along there and then pops in there. So had I not damaged that, that would probably be all that's needed for the ABS now. But I knackered them. So next thing is fitting the brakes. We've obviously stripped down the calipers. They're completely new pistons, new seals, lovely and clean, new pads. All of this has been cleaned up. New caliper bolts. No, I just cleaned them up actually. New nipples. Always like new nipples. And new flexible brake lines. So I'll go under the car and show you where they connect. So we're back under the car. So obviously come off the caliper, and then while I've got all this, well, this is nice, isn't it? I cleaned that up. To be fair, I cleaned up all my underside of the car while I was messing about doing this. So that's your, what is that? Oh yeah, that's your vacuum for your ECU in the boot. Oh, there's a bit of underseal there. I need to clean that off. Cleaned all these holders, cleaned the brake line. So this is your rear brake line. It's just one single line, comes down from the front of the car, comes out of that accumulator ball thing, runs along here, goes to a little T-junction. One guy's over, this side goes over to your driver's side, and the other side goes over the back like that. I need to sort that out as well. That's just standing out now that everything else is clean. But yeah, and that goes down to the other side. And then connecting them is just your basic brake nonsense with brake fluid dribbling out everywhere. On here, that pushes through this holder on the side of the car. You then put a little grip washer and tighten up your brake hose, and then lock it on in place with this locking nut. That's all there is to that, really. The only other thing to say is that while you've got all this off, I make myself some little blanks. So on this one, this is a female connector, so I've got a male blank, if you like, that I just connect up so you don't dribble fluid all the time while things aren't connected. So that's that. And then the only other thing, obviously I've greased all my universal joints now and all that kind of stuff. And the only other thing left to do after I'd done all that was to fit the speed sensor in the back of the diff, which in hindsight I would have done as I was lifting the car up, because I'll be honest, it was a bit of a pig to fit afterwards, but we'll go around there and I'll show you how it fits anyway. Well, so this is the speed sensor that reads off the teeth of the diff, and as you can see, there's not a lot of room between the sort of bulkhead of the boot. I can't get my hand in there. So ideally I would have done it whilst the lift was kind of down here, because you can pull that cable out quite a long way, and then I could have fed it back into the boot afterwards. Anyway, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? I just had to kind of go in from this angle and do some weird contortionist sort of tightening up, which is really tricky because I don't think you can see there, but that sort of white bit under the black is about 7 very specifically sized little kind of plastic spacers. So trying to get all those lined up and 2 bolts, it wasn't fun. But anyway, I managed that. I did say, I think earlier in this video, this did have a protective sort of coil over it, a bit like you do on these brake lines, you see that. But to be honest, it was just full of crap, and getting in the way meant I couldn't push the cable in and out of the boot as I wanted. So I've taken it off, and I don't care. People are going to go, oh man, that's like really protective. I just don't care. So I think the only other thing under here to talk about is you need to remember to put your heat protection, however you want it, back on your handbrake paraphernalia. Hey, I didn't talk about the handbrake. That's a good point. I did a bit of video on that as well, didn't I? Which my phone has deleted. Bastard. Yeah. Handbrake's fairly simple. I've connected up these arms in the previous video and put all the fitments in for the actual handbrake, and then the cable from the car comes in, sits in a little block. That's like a little block that sits in the top of there with a little groove cut in the top, which the cable sits into. So you just connect up both sides. I don't think you can really get it wrong. And then obviously you need to adjust that on the brake, which I could show you in a minute. But while I'm under here, that's the handbrake connected, and then you need to protect the cables because they're in fairly close proximity, you know, a couple of inches to what is a very hot exhaust sometimes, depending on how you're driving, especially that one there. I've gone for reflector gold tape, which protects up to 800 degrees or something ridiculous, which is complete overkill. But I like it because it's small and shiny, and it doesn't, it's not a big bulky mess. It doesn't collect water or gunk or anything like the traditional heat wraps do. But whatever. And also, you don't have to, with heat wrap, unless you get the Velcro stuff, you've got to feed it on before you connect everything up. Whereas this way, you can just connect everything up, see where it's sitting, and then spend half an hour cutting little strips of very shiny gold tape. So I think that looks lovely. I think the whole thing looks lovely, doesn't it? Isn't it beautiful? Almost a shame it's on the car. I do need to clean up that bit though. That's probably the next job, is take off the prop shaft and get that to the same standard. But I'm lying, actually. That's not the next job. I'm going to get out from under the car and then I'm going to tell you what the next job is. But before I tell you what the next job is, actually, I will just quickly show you your handbrake adjustment. You line this hole. Why is my torch just suddenly turned on? Or whatever. You line your torch. Oh my God, you can tell it's a Sunday, can't you? You line this hole up with the adjuster, which if you saw the video where I put the handbrake together, you'll know there's an adjuster hidden away behind here. Stick a screwdriver through and you can click the adjuster and open it up, which pushes the shoes in or out. So basically just set it up so it's literally just touching, which I haven't done yet. Actually, my handbrake is slightly loose at the minute. I need to adjust that, and obviously you do it equally on both sides or whatever. That's it pretty much. That is the subframe in. One other thing worth mentioning is obviously once you put your subframe on, you're going to want to connect all your exhaust and everything back up. You can put your over axle pipes in before you lift the subframe. They do jangle about a bit, or like me, you can put them in afterwards. To feed through the over axle pipes, it's a little bit tricky, but you do need to have the car raised up more than this. It needs to be probably about here. I don't know what that measurement is, about 60, 70 centimeters. It's a specific height anyway. It has to be over, otherwise they just foul on the floor. Where's my hand? There. You'll know that the car's not raised up enough if it's just fouling on the floor. There's only one way of feeding them in, and the end just ends up getting stuck on the floor. You need to raise the car up. And also you can't have anything under here. So if you've got it sat on wood on your subframe, again, you're just going to end up, you need to be able to get sort of under the subframe and feed it over at a certain height. And then it's a piece of P, I can't say. Yeah, I probably can say. I don't know. I'm never sure what you're allowed to say on YouTube. I'm fairly sure I swear quite frequently without even realising. And then it's quite easy to, feed the over axle pipes through. And obviously they then connect up over here. And obviously I've got a custom AJ6 engineering exhaust on mine. So it's all lovely and shiny. But yeah, right. That's all that done. Over here is my next job. It's not what I wanted to do for my next job. My next job I wanted to do was something else. I wanted to do the anti-roll bar. I've got a used anti-roll bar, and I was going to do some before and after driving comparisons and show you how to fit the anti-roll bar and see whether it's worth having one. I don't know. There's various views on that. Anyway, that's going to have to wait because yesterday I put all this together, torqued up those rear nuts. I took this car out for its first drive the other day after fixing up all the subframes and everything, and do you know, it drove like a dream. It was just the best that car has ever felt. New steering rack bushes, the steering felt perfect. There was no clunks or rattles, and it just felt really tight and nice and smooth still. So I'm really happy with how the car performed. All the things that I've done have obviously really benefited it. Felt like a new car, absolutely brilliant. However, I then got home. I'd actually taken one of the girlfriend's kids out in the car, and as we got home, he walked up the drive and said, "Why is the water everywhere?" And I thought, oh God, I hope that's the screen wash. Hopefully I just haven't connected it up properly. No, it's not. The radiator has a pinhole at the front that's just appeared, and it was just geezering out coolant, soaking all of this in coolant all over the front of the engine. So lucky we'd just come home, to be honest, because it would have emptied it probably in an hour or so of driving, and I would have had some serious issues there. So the next job isn't going to be the anti-roll bar. The next job, I've already taken this all off to clean all the coolant off and everything. The next job is going to be bonnet off, all that front crap off, radiator out. I actually had the radiator out only about 3 or 4 years ago, but it was fine. It was all right. It kind of needed recoring there, but it wasn't desperate, and I didn't know what I know about cars now, so I didn't bother. And maybe that's come back to bite me now, because that's a good few days work for me lifting all that out, and obviously I'll be without the car again for a bit while I get the radiator record. Although I do have a spare radiator now, so I might get that record, and then at least I can just switch everything over a little bit quicker than I would otherwise. Yeah, so that's going to be the next job and the next video. And while I'm at it, I'll show everyone where the belts are and how to do the tensioners. I've got my air idler pulley is rusty, as they do, so that's going to come off while I've got the front of the engine off. And I'll give the engine bay a good clean while everything's off, because while you've got all the radiators and stuff out, you can pretty much stand in the front of the engine. There's quite a lot of room, so it's a good chance to do a few other jobs in there. And the car's probably going to be off the road now till next year. So I think it did a grand total of 7 miles this year. Great. But it does mean that, yeah, this car's only done 58,000 miles. So it'll stay at 58,000 miles. So in some ways that's good for value or whatever. I know people go, oh my God, you should drive your car every day. Mine does 200,000 miles. I don't care. Mine's done 58. You're just jealous. I know you are. But also I would quite like to drive it as well, but it's not happening. I'll see you in the next video for fixing the radiator, or lifting it out anyway. It's probably going to be a 2 or 3 parter. See you then. Bye.